Essentially, it's a cloud-based delivery model, right? So a lot of businesses and across all industries want to get to the cloud. The difficult part is how and the strategy that's associated with it. Um, and I think a lot of the companies have evaluated going to the cloud. There may be certain aspects that they've evaluated that don't belong in the cloud. But they want, for the security benefits, the cost benefits, simplification, et cetera. They want to be in the cloud as much as possible. So how do we move to the cloud in a way that we can still support some of our on-prem infrastructure? And every customer or every business has kind of a different strategy towards that. So integration as a service kind of helps with that, with experienced cloud delivery resources, and can help these businesses make the right decisions when it comes to how to implement the cloud in their infrastructure. Obviously, the cloud has its benefits with cost. You don't have to have a physical server in a physical place. You have to pay to keep it cool. You have to pay to have software updated on it consistently, and just the management of that physical server. And the other part of it is the time it takes to do that. So a lot of the cost benefits come from having a cloud server that you can manage from a laptop anywhere. So you can have somebody make patches, do security updates, integrations to that server without having to have something physical and actually be in contact with it. Also, with having infrastructure in the cloud, you can automate a lot of stuff, right? So you can have not as much human interaction with that server, which can drive cost savings there as well. And most of the cost benefits are related to time and the time it takes to spin up that server. It may take a week to get somebody to go out to a data center and have that set up and make sure that all of the external factors in protecting that server are sufficient. So there's a lot of time it takes to do that. And with the cloud, you can go to these providers and have it set up in a matter of minutes. Yeah, a lot of it is also, a lot of these companies are trying to mitigate risk, right? They don't want to have to spend the time and cost on having to maintain these servers, and also the security that goes around with it. If I can have an integration as a service vendor manage that for me, that's a lot of things that I don't have to worry about. You think a lot of businesses, that's not their core competency either. They want to focus on their product and their business and what they do best. They don't want to invest all this time worrying about their infrastructure, their security, and having a bunch of full-time dedicated resources to do that. Why would I want to do that in-house when I can pay an IaaS vendor to do it for me, and the risk goes over to them, so I don't have to worry about that anymore, and I can focus on what I do best. Sure, yeah. So the cloud is very flexible when it comes to, you run out of space on one server, you can turn one up, as I mentioned, in a matter of minutes. So you can scale as necessary very flexibly. And you can also, add new SaaS applications a lot quicker because they can integrate with the cloud via APIs a lot easier than it is to have it connect to something that's on premise that will take, punching holes in firewalls, opening ports, that sort of thing. So having all of your infrastructure in the cloud definitely speeds up projects that involve scaling and being able to achieve that. Yeah, I think I kind of went into letting people focus on what they do best, but I think the largest benefit that these vendors bring is they've seen a lot of these use cases before, and they have experience with what works best, and they also know what doesn't work best, which can benefit these businesses tremendously. Um, and the fact that they've usually in a spot where they're like, hey, we've never done this before, which is great. So you pay them to do the work and to manage the risk that's associated with migrating the cloud, but you're also paying for expertise to make sure it gets done right. Because no vendor wants to do a bad job and have to come back and remediate some issues that may arise. So being an expert in the sector really helps the relationship between the business and the vendor, and it typically ends in a good partnership, because businesses' number one goal is always to grow, whether that's financially or a market share or customer base. So there's always going to be things that are coming along that require migrations and connections, and a lot of these vendors also have connectors for certain applications. For example, Salesforce is a huge sales platform that a lot of people use, and a lot of these vendors have connections to make these processes even easier than they already would with the services that they provide. So a couple of things there, but